Hey, what's up, y'all? It's D about to react to this vid by RRG. It's titled Inside the Dark Psychology of Halle Bailey's Love for DDG. A psychological deep dive. I know you lying. You know what? Y'all gotta stop, okay? I'm tired of all these fake experts online thinking that they are psychologists. They think they are MDs. They think they got all the answers. You're not supposed to do this, or you can only do that, and they did this, so this means y'all have to stop. I'm tired of people pretending that they are smarter than they actually are. No shades on RRG, but this is wild. But are we gonna watch it? Absolutely. That's what we do up here. We react to the nonsense. So we gonna watch the nonsense. But I know you lying. Anyway, let's see what's going on. Let's watch.
From the outside, Halle Bailey seemed to be living a fairy tale.
Oh, I hated this dress. Oh, and I talked about this in a couple of the videos I reacted to about the Met Gala, but my God, I hated this so bad.
A Disney princess in real life, with beauty, a voice that silences rooms, and a career blooming before the world's eyes. But as the chapters unfolded behind the scenes, it became painfully clear that her real-life love story may have mirrored something far darker than anyone could have ever imagined.
Y'all ain't like he a serial killer. Like, let's calm down.
Halle chose DDG, a man with a public reputation for clout chasing, online messiness, and increasingly alarming allegations. And while many asked why she would align herself, let alone have a child with someone like that, the answer, as always, lies beneath the surface. But before—
That's what I heard. I don't know the tea exactly. Or maybe I did see a video of her admitting that. I don't know. All these things get meshed together, but I heard or I saw that she was like a fan of his work, of his videos. She like was watching him on YouTube for years apparently, so before they even start talking. So
before we dive deep into today's video, grab your favorite goodies.
No, girl. Y'all go support though.
Often mirror the emotional climate of our upbringing. If a person grew up with chaos, unpredictability, or conditional love, they may seek out those very same patterns in their—
I think the keyword "may" is very important. I hate when people act like everything is a one-size-fits-all. I hate that so much. Everybody's situation is different. There are a million different variables that will change how a situation affects a person. So you can't be like, oh, well, this, because they grew up, then it must lead to this. No, you don't even know all the information. I hate when people do this.
Romantic life, believing that if they can—
And just because that was the case with one person doesn't mean it's the case for other people. Like, shut up.
I'm
not talking about her. I'm speaking in general. I'm actually talking to the internet. Because whenever I like glance on like Shade Room in the comments and stuff, just seeing the things that people say, I'll just be like, oh my God, y'all are so stupid. I only be online for like a couple minutes at a time. That's all I could take. And I'm just like, oh my God, I hate everybody.
Under those circumstances, it will finally heal the parts of them that were never fully seen as a child. For Halle, who has always presented herself as grounded, poised, and softly spoken, the idea that she would link up with someone like DDG puzzled fans.
And it's so interesting because everybody got all the answers, but you can't fix your bum ass life. You so smart though, and you so in tune with the psychology of but your life is in shambles. You should take a long look in the mirror and ask yourself, why am I online trying to give other people advice and saying that this is this and this is that when I can't even get my own shit together? Just a thought.
DDG is known for his antics, his online trolling, and his frequent jabs at exes. It's hard to believe that Halle, who was an early fan of his YouTube channel and his music, was unaware of the emotional manipulation. Unaware of the emotional manipulation and gaslighting he had previously been accused of. But even if she wasn't aware, she was surely warned by the public over and over again.
My grandmama used to say, if I tell you that a rooster dips snuff, you need to check under his wing for a snuff box. In other words, I ain't telling you no lie. And if I tell you that he dipped snuff, you may as well check for the evidence, because there's a snuff box on his person somewhere. So, Halle, if people is telling you that the man is no good for you, You need to listen. Anyway, let's just continue to listen together, besties. This is a mess.
So let's say she did know about his past, and she chose to pursue a relationship with him anyway. Was it naivety? Wishful thinking? Maybe on the surface. But what if, deep down, she wasn't trying to change him at all? What if her subconscious had already made the decision for her long before she ever realized it? Sometimes we're not consciously choosing chaos, we're remembering it. We're gravitating towards something that feels familiar, not because it's good for us, but because it mirrors what we witnessed.
God damn it.
Up, the energy, the emotional temperature, the dynamic. It's not logical, it's neurological. Let's go a bit deeper into this by examining Halle's roots.
Dress is fire.
In September 2007, her father, Doug Bailey, was accused of putting his hands on her mom numerous times. He was arrested and charged with 2 counts of family violence battery, simple battery, cruelty to children in the 3rd degree, and disorderly conduct. The disorderly conduct charge was added because he allegedly acted in a tumultuous manner after placing his wife in reasonable fear of her life, limb, or health.
Mr.
Oh, I didn't know this.
According to court documents, his criminal case was put on hold for 9 months so he could complete a domestic intervention program. Additionally, he was ordered to have no contact with her mother. Upon completion of the domestic program, the charges against him were dismissed. The family got past the incident and eventually moved to Los Angeles so Halle and her sister Chloe could pursue careers in the entertainment industry. So sure, the family got past it. However, the events occurred when Halle was a child. She was young enough to absorb the energy of the household, but old enough to remember tension, raised voices, or fear, even if it was never directed toward her. In addition to that, children do not need to witness abuse to...
Even if it wasn't directed towards her, didn't they say he had a charge of child endangerment or something like that? Did I hear that right?
Be affected by it. The emotional atmosphere in a household marked by violence is often just as damaging as the violence itself. As for the relationship with their parents today, well, her sister Chloe revealed in 2022 that she's no longer close with their parents. However, she has a tight bond with her godmother, whom she calls Mommy. Some sources also state that Chloe fired her dad as her manager. As for Halle, she told Glamour magazine she's very close to her parents and didn't move out of their home until after she finished filming The Little Mermaid. In a 2022 interview with Variety, Halle said she channeled her bond with her dad in her role as Ariel. She said, "I would always talk about how my dad is like a mirror of King Triton. I just pulled from my experience with my own father, how deep that love is and how strong and protective they get." And yet, that same deep bond, the one she honored so openly, may have unknowingly created a blueprint that shaped her romantic choices in ways even she couldn't see coming. This is where the subconscious plays its most dangerous trick, because even as Halle praised her father's love, and even as she described his...
By the way, I'm not discrediting what she's saying. I know there is validity in this. I've heard these things before. And I went to college. I took psychology classes, all right? So, I mean, none of this is new information. I understand that people can repeat certain patterns. My only point is that it's not always the case for everybody. And it's unfair to try to analyze someone's situation and come to conclusions as if A, you're a professional when you're not, and B, as if you know all of the details of their situation when you don't. That's my only point. But I'm not saying that there's zero validity in what she's saying.
Protectiveness with warmth, there's still a shadow underneath that ideal, a history, a memory stored not just in her mind, but in her body. Her father...
Because it's one thing for us to make these videos and talk about the things that they reveal to us, because they give us a lot, okay, to talk about based on what they put out there. So that's one thing, but it's entirely different to do things like this, the psychological deep dive. Like, come on.
Her past doesn't align with the dreamy Disney version of fatherhood she described, but it's part of her truth, and the subconscious mind never forgets. This is what's called an internalized contradiction, the emotional dissonance that occurs when a person we love also causes us pain. The human brain, especially in children, will often split that person into two, the protector and the punisher, the savior and the source of fear. But as we grow up, those halves don't always integrate. Instead, they live quietly beneath the surface, creating a confusing emotional pattern where we associate love with both safety and volatility. So what happens when that child becomes a woman? She seeks out love that feels emotionally familiar, not necessarily emotionally healthy. She might say she's looking for a kind, stable partner, but on a deeper level, her nervous system may be more responsive to someone whose love comes with mood swings, control, or emotional inconsistency. That's the heartbreaking juxtaposition at play here. Halle may consciously honor her father, speak of his protectiveness, and use their bond as a creative muse. But on a subconscious level, the early exposure to instability, however brief or minimized, could have trained her to bond with men who reflect both the loving and the dangerous sides of him. And that's where DDG comes in. He may not have reminded her of the man her father is now, but of the emotional chaos her younger self once absorbed. His dominance, his public flare-ups, his need for control. These behaviors might not have been red flags to her nervous system. They might have been comforting and familiar. Even though consciously she could name them as toxic, subconsciously they echoed something unresolved yet recognizable. This doesn't mean Halle was reenacting her past intentionally. Quite the opposite. The subconscious doesn't use logic or language. It uses emotion and memory. So while her conscious mind was celebrating her father's love, her deeper emotional instincts might have been repeating an old pattern, trying to rewrite a chapter of her childhood by choosing a partner who resembled its most complex parts. It's a tragic loop many women find themselves in, especially daughters of men who were both loved and feared. They don't realize they're reenacting until it's too late. They think they're in a new story, but they're still living inside the emotional echoes of the old one.
Ooh, that's a word right there.
In Halle's case, DDG likely offered something that activated this dynamic. He may have seemed exciting, dominant, and protective, like when he came to the rescue to claim she was disrespected in a racially motivated incident at a nail salon. DDG has made headlines for reasons that range from petty to deeply disturbing. But in the early stages of their relationship, he likely mirrored Halle's emotional needs. Abusers don't show up in wolf costumes. They show up as charmers, with grand gestures and a constant presence. For someone like Halle, young, in love, and perhaps still healing from silent wounds, DDG's confidence may have felt like security. He may have created an emotional vacuum that made her feel wanted in a way that temporarily quieted old insecurities. This is what psychologists refer to as love bombing. It's an overwhelming flood of affection used to establish dependency.
Where's Halo at?
What do you mean? He's sleeping? He's in bed RN?
Give me my fucking son back.
What? Why are you acting like this? What have I ever done for you to act like I'm some...
DDG arguing with an AI voice of Halle? When was this? What the? Nah, this is mental illness.
sort of monster that would keep your son from you?
Because you don't know how to respect me and you disrespect me in public over a Usher concert. Where is my son at? I'm taking my son.
When DDG...
Okay, he mentioned the Usher concert, and I know that they were together at that point. So I'm going to assume that he's being funny. Well, obviously he's being funny. Funny, it's still weird. This is still very odd. She could use this in court. Like, he put way too much online. He ain't thinking these things through. Anyway, so I'm sure this is when they were still together and he's being funny, but this is still just a very odd thing to do. And then look at what you were saying. Look at the language you were using. Give me my fucking son. Give me my son from... Why were you... like speaking that into existence? That's odd. If y'all were together back then. If this is after all the drama took place, this makes this 10 times weirder. If this is recent, that's just even more weird.
Began to show darker traits such as jealousy, public disrespect, and controlling behavior. It likely didn't feel wrong to Halle at first. It probably felt like love taking on a complicated shape. Victims of emotionally manipulative relationships often defend the very people who harm them because they are emotionally entangled in a cycle of reinforcement and withdrawal. When DDG would disrespect Halle online or allow his fans to do so, and then reel her back in with apologies, gifts, or private sweetness, it reinforced the trauma bond. It's the exact same pattern that happens in homes with intermittent abuse. It goes from tension to explosion, and then to the honeymoon.
That looks really cute
addictive.
together.
Now, let's talk about identity. Halle, despite her fame, may not have had the space to fully explore her individuality outside of her sister Chloe, her family, or the Disney machine. In family systems theory, this is referred to as enmeshment. It's a lack of emotional boundaries between family members that can make it difficult to know where you end and others begin. When someone grows up in a tight-knit, high-performing family, they often struggle with autonomy. Choosing a partner who is seen as outside the box can feel like an act of rebellion, freedom, or independence. DDG may have represented that contrast. He was messy, brash, and bold. Perhaps he was everything Halle never was. And psychologically, we often seek partners who embody parts of ourselves that we feel unable to express. If Halle was the good girl, the peacemaker, the artist with the soft voice, DDG's chaotic energy might have felt like a shortcut to accessing her shadow self, the part of her that wanted to feel fierce, wanted, and untouchable. This dynamic is not uncommon in women who are forced to mature quickly. They often suppress parts of themselves to survive, only to seek them later in reckless or emotionally unsafe partners. Halle's decision to stay, even after public and private red flags, suggests emotional confusion, not stupidity. According to a 2019 study in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships, women with a history of witnessing or experiencing domestic trauma are more likely to misinterpret early warning signs in relationships and are more likely to internalize blame when those relationships become toxic. They are also more likely to isolate themselves from friends and family to protect the illusion of love. And let's not forget sweet little Halo. Once a child is involved, everything intensifies. Many women stay longer than they should, trying to protect the child, the image of the family, or the hope that things will improve. Halle likely experienced immense emotional conflict. On one hand, she was now a mother, responsible for a life. On the other hand, she may have felt trapped by the escalating dysfunction. In recent court documents, she described violent behavior from DDG while they exchanged their child, and alleged that he physically assaulted her. These are not the actions of a man who ever deserved to be in her orbit, let alone her life. But trauma does not care about logic. It cares about patterns, and unless they are broken with intention, they repeat. There is also the issue of shame. Halle is not just a woman. She is a brand, a Disney princess, a role model. And with that image comes an invisible leash. How does one admit that their life doesn't...
Y'all gotta stop calling her a Disney princess. I also think that's very strange. I'm sorry. She played a Disney princess in a movie. That movie is over with. It came and went. And no shade. People loved it. Cool. But you can't keep calling her that. That's very weird. Think of if we were referring to other actors who played like really great roles. Like Denzel on Training Day. Like, he's a cop. Like we were referring to him. He's a crooked cop. Like, what? No, he played that role and then he went on to do other roles. Like, I don't understand when people are doing this. She's a princess. She's a Disney princess. What? Y'all are, that's odd to me. I'm sorry. Say she's a great actress. If you want to give her flowers, cool. She's a great actress, great singer, art. You can say all of those things. Give her flowers for sure. But stop saying she's a Disney princess. That is so weird to me. I've never heard anybody do that with any other actors and actresses who have also played like princes and princesses in Disney movies. I've never heard anybody else do that.
Dream. How does one say, I'm hurting, when the world is expecting a happily ever after? How does someone quietly admit that the public was correct without receiving more backlash from the people who are quick to say, I told you so? Shame keeps people silent, and silence is where abuse thrives. As we watch this unfold, the temptation is to say that Halle should have known better. However, that statement lacks empathy, and more importantly, it lacks understanding of how trauma reshapes the nervous system. Halle may not have chosen DDG because she didn't love herself. She may have chosen him because she was still trying to heal. Love, when influenced by...
I feel like we can say that about literally anybody and anything. We all have trauma. Newsflash. People love to be like, oh, this trauma, it affected this person. We all have gone through shit. I don't think that this justifies anything. And you can be like, well, because this happened, and this trauma response, and da-da-da. It's like... And I'm not saying that in every single situation that everybody should just have the strength to leave and be smart in every situation. That's not what I'm saying either. I understand that everybody's situation is different. Some people are in way more extreme cases, and it is harder to leave depending on what's going on with them. I get that. So I'm not saying that, but I hate when that's used as a justification for everything. It's just like, bro.
Resolved trauma becomes a battlefield. We choose familiar pain because it gives us...
And it's so interesting because y'all only do this with people that y'all like. That also gets on my nerves. I'm out of here. Whenever someone you don't like is doing bullshit, you never come with, oh, well, because they had this bad upbringing and this happened, so their trauma response caused them to do da-da-da. You don't do any of that when it's people that you don't fuck with. Are we doing a deep dive on Yerky and saying that, well, he had this happen, so that's why he had the life that he did and he made the bad decisions he made? We can't call him stupid or say he should have did better. We don't do that with Yerk. We don't do that with people that we don't fuck with. We only do it with people that we like and with, well, it's because this happened and you have to show grace and you have to have empathy and da-da-da. Only with people that you like. Y'all are just fake. Again, I'm not saying that there's no validity with this. She could be spot on. I don't fucking know Halle's situation. I'm not gonna pretend that I know. I'm not gonna also be a fake expert and try to, you know, put the pieces together. I just think that's really corny. So I'm not saying that this is not what is occurring with Halle. I just hate how fake people are. I hate how people pretend to know more than they actually do. And I just hate how people pick and choose. You pick and choose when you want to have empathy for people. If you're going to be empathetic, then show that same empathy for other people as well. But no, when it's somebody that you don't fuck with, it's like, nah, you stupid because da-da-da-da-da. When it's like YouTubers or shit, I be looking at some of these YouTubers' comments and stuff, you know, when they revealing way too much. And I'm like, girl, I would never reveal this. I'm telling way too much of their business. People in their comments now, they not giving them grace. Oh, well, you shouldn't have did this and this is real stupid and da-da-da-da. So you talking shit about them because you don't really fuck with them like that. But when it's somebody that you do fuck with and you like, then you want to come with all of these excuses and shit in the world. It's just tired. I'm tired of people. Anyway, that's just my take on the situation. Good luck to them, like I've said before. Y'all let me know what y'all think, though, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.